Hi there, and welcome to Lesson 5 on this Patreon page. Today I'm going to introduce you to another student of mine, Aditya, who's from India. Now, Aditya is an absolute beginner. He has no performance experience whatsoever, and before meeting me, he had no voice training experience at all. And a while back, he started taking online guitar lessons with a teacher in Nashville, and he got to the point with his playing where he just decided that he really wanted to have a voice that could keep up with his playing on guitar. And he wanted to be able to perform and record songs, and he wanted to feel confident with his voice. Now, when he first started out with me, he had an incredible amount of tension, especially as he moved through his passaggio area and above. He had extreme tension in his throat. Everything felt really, really tight, and he had a lot of tongue root engagement, a lot of tongue root tension. And you can actually hear some of this in his speech. Some of this really is reflected or is reflective of his own speaking habits, and partly because of his regional accent. He grew up speaking English in India, however, with that Indian accent, and it's a very, very back kind of sound with a lot of tongue root tension, especially on his M's. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly right now. So the other thing with Aditya is that in addition to all the tensions, he had a very limited range, and he had a lot of intonation issues. So initially, when I had him just sing a very, very basic scale, a 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, or a 5-note scale, his intonation was very poor, and he couldn't match the pitches that he was supposed to be matching. So we've come a long way, as you'll hear in this lesson with him. So the first few months of lessons were really dedicated to sort of freeing up his instrument and getting him to the point where he could actually safely and comfortably move through the passaggio area. And we're still working a little bit on that tongue root tension. It just wants to creep in all the time. It's significantly improved, but we're still working on that. And the intonation has improved significantly. And also he had, when he first started with me, he had kind of a rough quality to his voice. And as you'll hear, he's got a much purer, cleaner sound now, with a lot more resonance, and he's starting to get a little bit of vibrato just kind of shimmering through in some of the tone when he gets things in a really nice balance. So for the first several months, we just really focused on the real basics, getting a clean onset, a balanced onset, working on vowel definition. His vowels are very, very distorted. As you'll come to hear, it's still a little bit of a struggle for him, but they've improved significantly. And so the lesson that you're going to hear, we're going to be focusing on closed voice. This is something I introduced to him again a few months later. And he had a couple months of a setback. He actually suffered a concussion and wasn't able to take lessons for a couple of months because every time he tried to sing and even play the guitar, he would get really, really dizzy and nauseous. But we've returned to it, and since then he's been really dedicated and working on developing his upper range and learning to be able to close off his voice, acoustically speaking. All right, I really hope you like this lesson. Please let me know if any questions arise.
E, E, E,
Okay, keep everything nice and open here and don't bend too much.
E, E, is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
The vibrato, I'm not sure if it's like, it's not constant, but it's more than before, if that makes sense.
It's not going to be constant right now until everything's really consistent.
Okay.
You know, because it's not always consistent, I think, going through there, but you didn't have the vibrato before, and then it started showing up when you started getting that balance. And so as you get more and more balance, it'll become more and more consistent.
Yeah, at least it's showing up now on every note. Yeah.
Yeah.
E, E,
Okay, so the open versus closed kind of the I was good, but the I started pulling back just a tiny bit.
Okay.
It wasn't like a lot of tongue tension, but it didn't have the same kind of ring that the E had.
Oh, okay. E, E.
That's it.
Yeah. E. That bright? It's not too bright, as you said, right? That's fine. Because
Oh, it's like a squealo. It's like it's got the ring, but you're not losing the depth because when you're in closed voice, the larynx stabilizes, and that keeps the vocal tract a little bit longer, and therefore it keeps some of the lower overtones in there too. It's a balance.
okay, so that's fine because it feels
Hmm.
like Christmas in my head right there.
Well, again, I think that comes down to sort of how you've heard yourself speaking and singing all your life, and it's just getting used to a sort of and adopting a new tonal concept. I
Yeah.
think is what you just need to do. I mean, like I've had to go through that whole process too of accepting sounds coming from my mouth that sounded foreign, didn't
Yeah.
sound quite. I questioned whether or not they were right, and then you play them back and you realize, oh, actually, that's exactly what I'm going for.
Oh wow. Okay. So that is exactly what I'm going for as a singer.
I would say, yeah, because it sounds beautiful. It sounds like it sounds consistent from the lower note to the higher note, from the E to the I, and it's got
Right.
just that nice, because that squealo, that ring in the voice, it's what's gonna get your voice to carry, and it's gonna give that bite, and it's gonna like just give that crispness and clarity to the sound.
All right. Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna incorporate that in everything right now then. E,
Okay, so it kind of pulled back just a little bit, so make sure you keep it that same place. Okay.
All right, we try again. Is that fine?
That was D.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's that's where it starts wanting to kind of lose that ring, and that's where you'll have to kind of people say resisting that and fighting against that tendency to want to go.
Oh, okay, okay, I get. I think I'm getting it.
Yeah,
Like that, right?
yeah, a lot more consistent.
Right.
Yeah. Do you hear how that it sounds like the same voice, the same balance?
Yeah, that those breaks aren't coming, and my voice feels different. Wow, okay. I can feel the ring right now, even speaking to you.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. It like warms up the whole throat almost when you do it.
Yeah,
I feel like opera singer, to be honest with you.
good. Again, I mean, we tweak it for the sound. I mean, but you're not really making it exactly as like an opera singer would. Because
Yeah,
I don't think you necessarily need to, in order to train closed voice, you don't need to go all the way to opera singer timbre, but there will be an element of that in there where it will kind of be reminiscent of an opera singer. I know when I started first letting my voice close off acoustically, it was like, whoa, like I didn't sound like I was singing in the same genre anymore. But again, then you tweak it and you find the right open close balance or ratio for you, and it'll work. But this is a great place to start because it's going to build this strength into the sound, and it's going to make your higher notes much easier to sing and much
right.
more consistent.
Wow. All right. So at least I'm onto the right stuff right now.
It sounds good. And you just really, once you get above that, for you, like C sharp D area, you have to start resisting that tendency for things to start to go, back. Either
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tongue root tension or just losing that ring in there.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. E, that's the C sharp coming up. E,
So what? Right on that F, you could hear E, 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 and start to pull back, right? That's right there. That's where you have to like, nope, nope, not gonna let you do that. And
Right.
resist that. Try it again.
Yeah. E, E.
Okay, much closer. Now watch the alignment because you're starting to hunch a lot. And then go back to connecting in here, right? When you get into that upper passaggio, you've gotta really connect down here.
All right. Okay. E. Wait. E.
Okay, much better. That third note, that F is still a little bit, wants to pull back a little bit, and then on the way down it was a little pitchy, but that I at the top was very nice.
Okay. Should I do that one more time, or should I move up?
Yeah, let's try it again just to see, because you're inching so much closer to where it needs to be.
All right. Okay. Wait, get a breath. E, E,
It's really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the is sounding better every time. Like it's sounding a lot more balanced. So here, above this, I would definitely change the vowels to the I, A.
Okay. What was wrong on that one? Was it still a problem at the F sharp, or?
The F. It was before that, yeah, right? Because you were on the C sharp, right? So the F.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's just go up right now. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so let's do I, A, though. I think it's time to make that change.
Still going off.
Okay.
It's still there, right? There's that bit of a change or whatever happens, right? Right at the F sharp?
I think that's for you, for that vowel. I just think that that's where it acoustically actually does close. So you're going to hear this little bit of an adjustment, but that was much more subtle that time than it was the previous couple times.
Okay. Okay.
So it needs to kind of do that, but again, I think if you're waiting until that F sharp, it's probably going to be a little bit more noticeable than maybe if you start closing it off the half a step below or the step below, depending on what key you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe here, because you got G, right? G is your top. So if you close it off on that second note, that E, or start to kind of leaning toward that a little bit, then you may find that it doesn't sound quite as drastic, but that was much better in terms of keeping the ring.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know what you mean. E, 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 E. I don't think that one came out properly.
Yeah, so it was a little flat on the top, and I think it's because you didn't let the vowel turn over quite as much because you were trying to keep it a lot more subtle. So make that kind of turning over maybe a little bit more graduated. But I mean, one of the things that you could do probably is maybe start lowering the jaw a tiny bit at that E or F sharp, just a tiny bit. You don't have to be dramatic, and that may actually help you get over that hump a little bit and make it more subtle. But let's play around with it because there may be some other adjustments that we can make where you don't have to necessarily lose the integrity of the vowel.
Okay. So you're saying drop the jaw a little bit more, right, basically, on this one?
Ever so slightly.
Okay. E, 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 E.
Okay. A. Let it go. A. Not like that, but just A. A. Nice and open, because I think you're trying to keep it to I. A, and I think it's too, I won't necessarily say laterally spread, but I think it's a little bit too high, the jaw, for that pitch for the vowel.
Okay. Let me try it again. E,
Okay, closer, definitely closer. You're still hearing that turning over, and I think that's all that's going on is the turning over. And maybe, just give it some time, like over time it'll probably get more balanced through there, and then you'll hear it less and less and less, that drastic turning over point. The top vowel to me doesn't quite sound like an A.
Okay.
It's kind of in between an A and an A.
I don't know, but I feel like all those things are for agility and smoothness, right? Of getting the note out in the right way. Do those actually change the overall tonality of your voice as well, or not really?
Like what we're doing here, or just in general, like agility training?
In general, will like all these exercises like change the way my voice sounds, or?
No, I mean I don't think it's changing how your voice sounds per se. It's tuning your resonances differently, which in turn does kind of alter, certain qualities in your voice. But I don't think it's not taking you away from who you are naturally, if that makes sense. It's kind of like tweaking the things about your singing and your coordination that weren't as effective or as healthy.
Yeah.
But it's not, it still sounds like you. It just now sounds like you that's, got a little more brightness in the tone, and you've got a little vibrato that you didn't have before, and you've got a little bit more control through the passaggio now that you didn't have, and you've got more range. Like that's really all that's changing, is it's just you're tweaking the coordination.
Okay. All right, yeah, no, that answers my question actually.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, okay.
Okay, you're on the right track. It was a little flat, but that was much more consistent in terms of the ring.
All right, yeah. I felt the ring as well. I think the morphing is still going on between the vowels. Could you do it once?
Where are you?
Okay. You still have the 100-day cough, or is the 100 days over now?
The 100 days is over, but it's still there. There's some. I went to the ENT a few weeks ago, and there's some swelling on my arytenoids, because he thinks that, like, kind of my theory too, is that the respiratory cilia hasn't completely healed in that area or recovered, and so I get some irritation, like when I'm singing an H, any word that begins with an H. It'll get a tickle, or like my voice will just completely cut out. It's really frustrating when I sing unvoiced consonants or even speak.
Hopefully that goes away soon.
I hope so. He said, just keep waiting it out like I have been, and nothing I can do about it. Yeah.
True. Okay.
It
still flips. Yeah, it's just whatever.
It's not really flipping. There's again, I think it's an acoustical shift that you're hearing, but not a flipping. Like to me, a flipping is more a physiological thing, where it's like the instrument just suddenly, like you release all the resistance efforts here, all the compression that just kind of releases, and you just flip into like M2 into falsetto or head voice. That to me is just like, you can hear that's it's just an acoustical change that's happened because you're stabilizing the shape and size of the vocal tract. And I think it's okay. Like I said, I think over time it'll become less and less obvious that it's happening.
Yeah. All right.
Don't worry too much about that. Keep the make sure you watch your alignment. Keep the connection down here. Keep the ring and sing the right vowel. That's it. The rest of it will fall into place. It'll develop over time.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, your middle range is really shaping up. I mean, like the C's and D's and such, they have some really, really nice qualities to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, just inch by inch, semitone by semitone, it's going to start to get more and more consistent It's going to sound better and feel better and healthier and more stable.
Nice. I can't wait. Well, I don't know. I just shouldn't go beyond the D as far as singing goes, right? Just stay from there to there.
For songs?
Yeah.
Well, you go, I mean, like, do you mean in sort of closed voice or?
No, just say generally, I mean, it'll be a really safe region to be, right? From like the A to the D.
Well, some of the Maroon 5 stuff that you're working on, doesn't it go up to like G or something?
Yeah, that goes really high. I should just pick songs with lower things, I feel, sometimes.
I think if you're wanting to apply what we're doing here, it would be a good idea to find a song that does stick, with a slightly lower range. I don't think you have to necessarily stick with that, but if you're working on specifically applying this concept, it wouldn't hurt to just, pick a song that's a little bit less challenging in terms of its pitch range.
Yeah, all right.
But I mean, I think the Maroon 5 songs, I think you're doing okay.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll run to that too in just a bit. So, the oohs, right? Okay. Ooh,
All right, so go back to the word you. It has that kind of you, like it's like the air in here. Got that sound right there. Yep. Okay, now just get a little bit more of the ring in there. Okay, that was a better vowel. It sounded a little bit more defined, less distorted. But now you need to get that buzz in there. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart a little higher up.
All right, okay. You.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh,
All right, so the O wants to open there. Yeah, you got that right? It kind of lost that ring exactly. Because the O wants to open up there, and when we're open that on those pitches, we tend to just kind of want to like let things fall back a little bit, and this is where you resist it.
So it's literally like everything falls together at once sometimes, doesn't it? Okay. Ooh, okay.
All right, so the O at the top sounded a little bit ah-ish. Don't let it go to ah yet. Yeah, and then make sure you go back to the word you at the start. Ooh, ooh, keep it like that twangy, bright ooh.
Okay. You. I'm just gonna sing you. It just makes life easier.
You. But it's not you.
Okay. You. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. You go down.
You.
All right. It started off okay, and then it went oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh. Keep it in that same ooh oh.
Okay. You.
Okay. Better. Let's move up.
Okay. You.
So try it on that hum. Do you like the open mouth hum? You like that, or do you like the? You don't like the hum as much, right?
I can try it that way. Mm,
So you hear that pull? You hear that tongue root pull?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's here.
Mm, So pulled up.
Yeah, a little bit. You also went higher there.
Yeah.
Make it harder on yourself. Try the open mouthed hum. Just do it in like an ooh for now. So just shape for the ooh here. You. Okay, that's better. Are you just kind of? I'm just kind of putting my mouth right here.
Yeah.
Keeping in the ooh. Okay. Yeah, that was much better. Do it again.
Actually, I think I know the problem is I've been using my tongue to do instead of the connection from here. I think I've got. Let me just try it once like this.
All right.
Ooh,
Okay, much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Move up.
Ooh, ooh,
So what happened there?
Flutter somewhere. I don't think it was the tongue tension though, but it
It,
felt bad.
it I think it was. It went oh, oh, oh. It pulled back. Yep.
Okay, let's try it again. Ooh, ooh,
Okay. Better. It went a little tiny bit flat at the top there.
Was that tension or no?
I think there is a little bit of tension there. You know, go do that on your e, I, and then immediately do it again on your oo, o, and don't change anything for the vowel.
E, ooh,
Okay, that's closer. That top vowel, I'd like to hear just a little bit more ring in there.
Okay, we try one last.
Okay, good. Let's move up a half a step. Okay, start with your U, and keep it right here. So when to open, oh, make sure it's an O.
Okay.
Okay, vowel was better, but there's still that little bit of pulling that's going on there. But now it sounds more like an O again.
Okay.
Try the E series in front of it if it helps.
I think I know what's going on. Let me try it one more time.
Yeah, I'm still just hearing oh, oh, oh. Just try to go. It's like almost like you're a valley girl. Oh, oh. Like that's kind of where it's as silly as it sounds and as like cartoonish as it might sound. I think you need to go to that place. just because of how you naturally form that vowel. I think you need to go to what sounds like an extreme when you hear it, but probably sounds perfectly balanced when it comes out.
Okay, I'm just gonna try for the extreme then. You.
Sing See, my O is more open on that vowel. It's a sing That's really dramatic.
Okay.
Much closer.
Okay, that does feel really different when I do it that way. Yeah. Let me do that again.
Go a little bit more here with it, because it's wanting to darken too much too soon.
Okay.
I liked it when you did the I, and then switch to the O. I think that I, because your Is are sounding pretty good in that range. I think it really helped you find that balance, and then maybe immediately do the O afterwards.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah, and then immediately do the O series so that you kind of recall that. So maybe do it again, I, O, and then do the O. Okay, it's kind of like it's open. It's really kind of belty.
Yeah.
But for that pitch, for that O for you, it's still kind of open. But
Okay.
it's going to have to close off in the next semitone or two, probably. It's going to start wanting to close off. But yeah, that was much, much better. I didn't really hear as much of the tongue pulling and such.
It's funny, I could feel these bones in the O, and I'd never felt that up there when I was making the sound. So
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's the marker.
I think so. Yeah. You don't want to place it there, but I think it's a good indicator that things are balancing out a little bit. All right, Definitely. Let's move up a half a step and then just try to keep the same ooh, and make sure you're using you nice and clear.
Okay. You.
Close. Oh, keep it right there. Oh.
Is it opening as well, or is it just still closed? But just
it's starting to close off a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. That was it. That was much better. And there's a little vibrato coming in there, right?
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, that was much better. You kept that, say, forwardness in it.
Yeah. Let's do that one more time. I just want to make sure I got it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Another half a step, and you're going to have to close that O off.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It was still kind of on the open side, which was fine. It sounded okay. So, but just know that it's going to happen anytime now.
All right, okay. Ooh,
That was some nice squealo going on there. And I mean nice. Like, I know it probably sounded like crazy bright, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It's
But you could sing your music like that, because that's kind of basically the twang, except that we're not shortening the vocal tract to make that twang. All right, we're shortening the vocal tract. Oh my gosh, my voice is terrible right now. But yeah, so with this, you're not having to shorten your vocal tract to do that. You're keeping it long, but you're still creating that pinginess in the ring in the voice.
Okay, so I guess the O work's still up there on the F sharp too.
Yeah, well, it turns over later than your E series does, because they have the lowest first formants. The O is a little higher up, which is why I struggle with the O down on the same pitch as like my first O's, or like on my E flat, for example, where I start is the O at the top is so open.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I would normally be singing open there, it's way too early for me to close off an O vowel. But it's starkly different because in the oo with a low first formant is closed. So you hear the closed oo and the open O, and it sounds so starkly different.
Yeah.
They sound starkly different from each other. So that, yeah, it's just a matter of balancing, and I need to work more on finding that seamlessness between the two and making sure that the O doesn't get to belt when I'm doing something like this. I don't want it to go to yell.
All right, okay.
Because there's plenty of power. Like you've got a ton of power in that voice without you having to open it up necessarily and splat it.
Nice. Thank God. At least I know I can sing finally.
Yeah, you've made such tremendous improvement, especially even over the last, I'd say, a few months,
Yeah.
In general, just like once we started doing this, especially, I feel like you started finding a lot more balance.
I had things got aligned, right?
Things got aligned. Oh yes, aligned, yes.
Yeah, once I took a smack to the head, everything got fixed up.
it jostled stuff around in there, and hey, concussions could be good.
Every once in a while, right?
Yeah, not too many of them though. Good. Yeah, so what are you on, the F sharp?
Yeah, that was the F sharp. Should I try the G one time?
Yeah, let's go up to the G.
Okay.
Okay, so it's definitely opening, right?
Yeah, it is.
And again, you could sing like that. Okay, so like if you're wanting to kind of belt it out and stuff, you definitely could choose that. Let's see what happens when you do the good luck.
Okay.
It should close it off a little bit.
Okay. Sorry.
You kind of like okay. Good. Good. Yeah, it just went oh.
Yeah, it was the end. Let me try it one more time.
Well, good. Okay, again.
Okay.
What were you going to say before?
No, I feel like my whole body is like pushing that up. It feels efficient. It does. I don't feel like I'm straining for that.
Good.
I can hear like reflections of like my marble right back at me right now.
I'm sure your neighbors are loving it. Well, you said that it's pretty reinforced and soundproof, right? Your apartment?
Yeah, there's like there's like a couple of feet of concrete between me and the next guy, so they're good.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's stop there, because it's been obviously like, you've been at this for 40 minutes or something. That's a lot of
Yeah,
work. It's a lot of work for your instrument. So, did you want to play a song for the last couple of minutes, or?
I'd love to actually. I'd love to try seeing if the pigginess and everything works out with the same song.
We're going to do most of our singing open in commercial styles. We're not going to be closing it off all the time.
Okay.
But we want that option there to help find balance in the open.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you're probably not going to close anything off below G for the most part anyway.
Yeah, probably.